Again, we're back at Avon Distribution Center in Avon, Ohio. Today, what we're going to talk about are plants that are best in the semi-shade. Last week we talked about sun plants. This week we're going to get into semi-shade. Semi-shade is a time frame of direct sun, anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. Generally, that would be an eastern exposure on a home, morning sun, or under a canopy of trees. Now, east is always the best place as far as a palette of plants to use, but as you move away from the house or the structure on the east, you'll find yourself generally moving into a sunny area unless there's a canopy of trees out there. We'll talk about this as we go along. One of the things that we talked about last week were red Jap maples. This week we are in a batch of green-leafed ones. Green-leaf Jap maples will grow in semi-shade very, very nicely. And don't be afraid to use them. They will not turn green because they already are green. And we're now going to review two varieties that will work. The variety here we're standing in front of is called Ryerson. This is a weeping variety. It can get up to about 15 foot if trained to do so. However, it's a good plant for a narrow area. It only spreads maybe 4 or 5 foot, so it's kind of a columnar form, very weepy in structure. And it will grow, like I said, in semi-shade very nicely. This is the second Japanese maple green leaf that will grow well in the semi-shade. This is the old Viridis. This is a cut leaf weeper. Very, very nice plant. Can get up somewhere in that 8 to 10 foot mark. Grows very nice and a very attractive orange fall foliage. Last week when we did the sunny plants, I featured both boxwood and Texas yews, those two varieties, as great sun plants. Well, in semi-shade conditions, they perform equally well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but we'll pick up next week when we do the heavy shade plants on a few varieties of taxus. Now we're over in the dogwood area. Dogwood is also an excellent tree for semi-shade or understory. There are two basic varieties of it. They are the Florida strain and the Coosa strain. The Coosa strain is the one that you can really rely on even in a heavier shade. Whereas the Florida strain dogwoods, they need a dappled shade, at least 4 hours of pretty direct sunlight, mainly east or under a canopy of trees. Another real good tree for the shade or semi-shade is serviceberry. Serviceberries, there's many varieties. This one happens to be autumn brilliance. They all get a white flower on them and a berry. Autumn brilliance does get a red berry, very good bird plant. Height-wise, most serviceberries can go anywhere between 15 and 30 foot with about a half spread. Excellent, excellent tree. Another tree that does very well in the semi-shade are the redbuds, particularly the green-leafed ones. This is a clump form of the regular standard redbud, Cercis canadensis. Green leaves, purple flower in the spring early on the bare wood. I can get up probably around 25 foot, 30 foot, and does very well in the semi-shade. Another variety of redbud is the weeping. This one is named Covey. Very, very pretty plant. Again, green leaf. And again, something that you can use. It's a smaller one, probably 8, 10, 12 foot, with maybe a 6, 7 foot spread. And prune it to be desired, just how you want it to grow. Yeah, as you know probably, there are several varieties of colored leaf redbuds on the market. This one here is forest pansy. Any redbud that has a colored leaf, generally burgundy in color or purple in color, try to give that a little bit more sun. However, they still will grow in the semi-shade. Probably about 5 hours sun would be appreciated. That'll help keep its good color throughout the plant. For semi-shade environment, there's this one right here. It is called microbiota. Great for semi-shade. Will even take some heavier shade. It's a small growing plant, 2-3 foot, can spread maybe 4 to 5 foot wide. Just a nice little plant. One little warning: this is a plant that does not like to be under sprinkler heads in wet conditions. This is definitely a dry plant after it is established. You've got to water it to establish it, of course, but it does request a dry environment. Another plant that works real well in a semi-shade environment are most of the cypress, Chamaecyparis. The upright ones, the globular ones, they do a nice job, all except the ones that have yellow foliage on them. Those are definitely a sun plant like we discussed last week. But they are very tough in the semi-shade. I've tried them in full shade, not too good. So keep them in that semi-shade 3 to 5 hours of direct sunlight area and they should work fine. Now we're in a group of emerald green arborvitae, and what I'm going to say holds true for just about all the arborvitae, be it a globe form or a pyramidal. And don't misunderstand me, arborvitaes do not grow in the shade. However, they will grow in a light shade. I'm talking anywhere, say 5 hours, maybe 6 hours of sunlight. They will do just fine. Just don't put them in a heavy shade. Yeah, now we'd like to feature the hydrangeas. Most of you know what hydrangeas are. There are two types. First type we're all familiar with. Those are the mop heads. Those are the ones that get up probably 3-4 foot, maybe 5. They grow that rounded flower. And in the wintertime, part of it does die back, prune off the dead wood, and then they recover, and most of them will bloom on new wood. A lot of the old varieties only bloom on old wood, so if they get frozen to the ground, they're not going to bloom that year. The ones that we're looking at right now are the paniculata varieties. These are a little different. I would liken these to like a viburnum. They are a flowering shrub. They can be pruned as you want to. Their flower is a little bit different. They're more of a panicle flower, a cone-shaped flower. There's many varieties, and they are very tough plants. The regular mop type will take that semi-shade environment very nicely. The panicle type will take more sun, even full sun. So you got a choice with the ones that grow like an ice cream cone flower. Everybody wants azaleas. All your customers do because everybody knows the name, but they don't grow all over the place. One of the biggest problems I see around are both landscapers and homeowners planting them in the full sun, which does not work here in Northeast Ohio. Some areas of the country, yes, but not here. Keep them in a semi-shade protected area and they'll do fine. The plant that is starting to become known, not highly yet, but it's one that you should know about. It's called Dirovilla. It's in the honeysuckle family. As you can see, it has white and green leaves to it, and a little yellow flower late spring or early summer. It's a beautiful plant. It's about 2-3 foot by 3 to 4 foot wide, and it is white and green. And also, there are other white and green plants that will do very nicely in semi-shade. Dirovilla, as I said, variegated dogwoods, the old-fashioned white and green euonymus, the little low guy. Anything white and green seems to be very adaptable into semi-shade, not heavy shade, but semi-shade conditions. So don't be afraid to use them. They will work. Yeah, now another great plant for the semi-shade areas are the viburnums. And there's many of them, as you probably know. The ones that we're featuring right now are going to be summer snowflake, which is a smaller grower, 5-6 foot by 5-6 foot, and it blooms most of the summer. First time I seen this plant, I was up in Canada, going to spend a few nickels at the casino up at Niagara. I seen this plant out in front of the motel room. I couldn't believe it. What blooms in August that is a viburnum? Well, it's here, and it is a really great plant, very sturdy, not too big. Another great viburnum. This is one of the newer ones, not brand new, it's been around for a while, but it is called Winterthur viburnum. It's a nice plant, gets big, Can get up 8-10 foot by 8-10 foot. It's a good hedging plant because it's more of an upright habit. Gets a white flower in the spring, kind of a burgundy color in the fall. It's just one nice plant with glossy leaves. Most viburnums are very dull leaves. This one has a glossy green leaf. Now we're taking a look at burning bush. Everybody is aware of what they are. It's an old-fashioned plant, still a good one. It's one of my favorite plants. Let's dispel the rumors about burning bush. Burning bush do well in semi-shade. The difference being, and I have tried it in all three areas, sun, semi-shade, and shade. In the sun, when they color in the fall, you're going to get your brightest color. If you put them in semi-shade, it's kind of a pinky red. If you put them in too heavy of a shade, it's really pinky. The plant will grow but not do what it's supposed to do, so keep them semi-shade to full sun. Very, very good. The dwarf variety that we're looking at, and it does get up anywhere from 8, 9, 10 foot if not maintained. But it's very maintainable, as you probably know. That will be the end for today. What we talked about, of course, are plants that do quite nicely in semi-shade areas. Next week we're going to move into plants that do well in heavy shade, and that will be an interesting one. So thanks, and I do hope you join us next week.